Hello and welcome to the PCM Tech Help Show. I am your host, Craig Chamberlain, and this is the iCast series. I know that you guys have traditionally followed my iCasts, and I appreciate that. I've upped the quality here a little bit, hoping that you guys will think I'm not just some kid in his basement or sunroom. I'm just a kid in an office. Okay, let's just go ahead and get that out of the way. As always, you can stop by my website at pcmtechhelp.com. You can get all the free downloads I've collected as my 80 years as an IT geek. And by 80, I mean like 12. And I also have all of my social network connections and all my videos and all that fun stuff there. pcmtechhelp.com. Okay, now let's actually get started on the purpose of this video, which is the iCast. Now, somebody sent me a message concerned. One of my Twitter followers, they said, "Is Twitter going to replace the follower count?" I go, what? And so he sends me this article, okay, from BuzzFeed, BuzzFeed.com. Twitter co-founder suggests a replacement for the follower count. The thing I think would be more interesting than followers is retweets. Clarifying that a simple measure of followers doesn't capture your distribution. The dream metric, he said, is how many people saw your tweet. Now, here's an interesting thing to know about social networks. They have to find a delicate balance between user experience and making money. Okay? The problem with the follower count, which they're not going to get rid of, okay? The problem with the follower count is that it's easy to artificially inflate a follower count. People can buy followers. People can create a whole bunch of different robots that'll auto-follow people. People can create systems to auto-follow back. People can create systems to auto, there's so many different ways to manipulate a single metric on a social network. Twitter's concern is they want a metric that's more true to the person that you are. In other words, if you are on Twitter and you say something and that gets shared or favorited or retweeted, in other words, how many people literally get to see that post is what they're more concerned with. Your follower count's one thing. You could have 40,000 followers, but only one of them actually engages with you. Only one of them talks to you. Only one of them shares your stuff. So you have 40,000 followers, but that doesn't really gauge how popular you are on Twitter. So what he's trying to suggest here is, he goes, we really need a way for people to gauge on their own how well they're doing on Twitter, because the follower count itself isn't cutting it. Which I think is true, because if I go to somebody's profile and I see that they got 8,000 followers, that doesn't mean anything to me. You know what I mean? 8,000 followers means nothing. What really matters is how engaging that user is. In other words, when he says something, are people responding to it? Are people sharing it? Are people interested in it? Are they talking about it? That's a true metric, okay? And so they're saying, okay, well, if people are sharing it, more people are seeing it. So let's take this a step further. Let's take the following metric, keep it in there, but let's also have a retweet metric. Okay, so we can see not only how many followers this guy has, but let's see how many retweets he has. Okay, so let's not even say that. Let's not say just retweets, because retweets don't always mean anything. A robot could retweet. Okay, but how many people have seen the retweets? So in other words, robots would have to retweet, then they'd have to follow, then they'd have to... In other words, you're getting a more precise metric on the overall exposure of whatever it is that you're saying. So I think that they're taking a serious look into developing, basically evolving the Twitter system into finding a way where they can actually create a metric that means something. And I think that'll be a better user experience for people. But the problem is they're not going to get rid of the follower count. That's never going to happen. Okay? So this article is a little misleading in that front. What they might do is take your follower count and then tack on an additional exposure count or engagement count or virality count, because you're more viral, okay? And then that way, when you're actually thinking about following somebody, you can get a better gauge of how influential that person is rather than just following them based on followers. So I hope that makes sense, but I also hope it answers the question. It's a very good question, actually. It piqued my interest. This article was a great article. Again, that's at BuzzFeed.com. If you have any other questions, this is the iCast series. This is for you guys, okay? So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the in the comments below, or send me an email or on any of the social networks, because that'll be how I continue to develop the iCast series. So if you have any questions, shoot them at any of the networks. As always, thanks for stopping by, and thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And stay tuned. I've got plenty more videos in the pipeline. Thanks again.